Lost Eidolons is a turn-based RPG where you and your heroes blast out into the lands of Benario trying to take down an evil conqueror. A turn-based RPG that is coming out here very soon. It's a medieval XCOM without 99% failure rates. My job is to give you guys reviews so you can decide if a game is worthwhile. As you guys know, I buy a copy of every single game, even if the developer gives me a code, and give it away to somebody in the comments or in the Patreon. Leave a comment for your chance to win. Let's do this. Eden is a mercenary captain and a rebel commander. He teams up with some fellow mercenaries and takes the battle to the enemy, raising his armies up, bringing low the enemies, hiring new armies, befriending new warriors, and using a class system to upgrade peasants into magical wielding, monster destroying badasses. Let's talk about the gameplay first. The game starts out in a battle, opening you up into the game's gameplay systems right away. A turn-based title that has you moving through squares to try to get close to an enemy. Some of those squares can be hazardous, like fire or waterlogged, which impact those who are inside them. Attacking or defending is next, with attacks, special abilities, and magical missiles slamming into all sorts of enemies. Each weapon does damage differently to the armor types. For instance, axes do different damage to leather-based armors or plate mail, which can keep you engaged, switching between weapons, magics, and then using the terrain against the enemies by lighting it on fire in a hasty group up where you are safer strategically surrounded by your friends. It's not exactly detailed stuff at first, with each character leveling up as they battle and soon able to utilize a class system that gives them more abilities. The ability also to switch out weapon types as well as special actions that the new classes will be unlocking for you. Enemies can also change up, with you facing normal fighters at first, then spreading out into monsters, enemy villains with insane special powers, and all manner of creatures. With armies cheering as you heal yourself or a friend or battling out around you, it makes everything feel just a little bit more realistic when it comes to the gameplay. Each one of the battles also has a number of turns that you need to beat it by, and if you don't, unfortunately, it starts over. If you do, you get extra XP. The thing is you have multiple difficulties, and I never really found it that hard to get through the battle by the time limit. It doles out quests as well, main and side ones, inside a main camp that you get once you start playing the game proper. I like the presentation of the camp as well. You walk around and get more information from the characters, and you sort of see it grow out. Presentation-wise, I was actually pleasantly surprised. First, while the game does have a lot of splash screen discussions with each 3D model of an enemy or hero just chatting it up on screen, and make no mistake, these dudes love to be on screen, as some of the cutscenes take forever, it still did offer a feeling of presentation and polish I wasn't expecting. The battle movements, the actions are actually awesome. Slamming down a golden glowing arrow as a spell, or watching an archer fire from across the way, being in some metal-headed fool in his face, is well above the level I was expecting for this game, especially because I didn't really know about the title until recently, though it was originally kickstarted. The detail with the movements, the enemies, the spells, and the weapons, all close up or far away, is very good. The game also runs very well. Even at 4K Ultra with everything maxed, it was well above 90 with the 3080 and the 2080 Ti well above 60. Even heavy battle moments, especially with more characters celebrating you piping a 7-foot spear into someone's heart, never really dropped any of the frames. There are a couple stutters when moving around larger locations, or later ones when the game shows more detailed environments. And by no stretch of the means would I say these environments are supremely detailed. If there's anything that I would notice in this, and I noticed it right away, is that some of the characters look a bit more generic than I expected. They looked good close up or in battle, but they have a little bit of that "I just bought it from the Unreal Store then slightly altered it" feel to it. Even up close though, the detail on a lot of the characters is very good for this level of game. Another thing I was surprised at is the sound. It's not bad. It's a bit generic, but that's the style of game that you're playing and the actual requirements of the fiction. Though I was surprised that most of the magic spells and weapon impacts were pretty nicely done. Music is also here. Now this is high fantasy expectations delivered exactly as required. Classical big orchestral sounds with high stringed instrument sections. It's heroic. It's over the top, and it's pretty much exactly what you can expect, with no surprises. It's not mesmerizing, but this actually wouldn't bother me just playing on the background at some point. In fact, it was a couple times. One thing did surprise me though here, and I gotta tell you guys I was excited to see this, and that's voice. Most things are fully voiced. Not everything, but most of it. Some of it's a bit ho-hum, but overall it wasn't bad at all, and there's not many moments where it sounds like someone's practicing a high school theater script in the backyard. Be prepared though, the game does love to talk. I am not saying Final Fantasy or Metal Gear level cutscenes, but damn, you can easily walk away in some of the first cutscenes, come back, and those dudes are still discussing a battle. During side quests and main quests, most of the actions are fully voiced and those discussions, though later on there are a number of kind of moments where a character will just make one sound and then read the text, a little bit like JRPGs. What's better about this, though, those cutscenes seem to be actually truncated just a bit and shortened up. There's a lot of effort here that I was not expecting, and it turned out to be very good. And having that music, sound, and voice be at a level that really does speak to a little bit of a higher production value than I was expecting made this sort of level up on its own. Instead of picking a class like high school musician, it's a little bit like college one. Fun factor. Honestly, the game is very, very fun. While it doesn't have many classes, it probably could have had more, and the presentation could have been spiced up a little bit. It consistently punches above its weight. And doing the stuff in the camp, talking to the characters about creatures and history, and then diving into these oddly placed but really rewarding friendship systems the game has between the different characters and being able to track that, it added more depth than I honestly expected it ever to. This is one of those titles that as you continue to play it, there's always a surprise. And sure, it solidifies down a little bit in the later end. That's where I am right now with this. I do have to say, I was pleasantly surprised. It's got over 20 characters, it's got 10 classes, and all manner of abilities and weapons that you can switch out and decide how you want to use them. I would have loved for it to have bigger monsters, but the polish on what is there is way higher than I expected, though the demon dogs look a little shady. And with a playthrough of around 35 plus hours, there's a lot of quality depending on the difficulty that you choose, because it can be very difficult. It also reminded me of Kingdom Under Fire for the original Xbox for some reason. It could be the way the characters are or their armor designs. Ocean Drive Studio might have only made this game as their first game, but it feels like the fourth or fifth. It feels like there's a maturity here with this developer that is far beyond what I was actually expecting. And there's an attention to detail in places that I just wasn't expecting, and getting to see those characters, those special attacks, those different friendship systems and how everything worked was very cool. I rate games on a buy, wait for sale, rent, or never touch it again rating system, with rent being replaced by a deep, deep sale on the PC. As I am at the very end of this, but have not fully completed it, I'll just say for right now, this is a buy, unless something absolutely dastardly happens at the very end. This is a title that's quite enjoyable. It is slightly different than a lot of other titles as well, because you're always going to be hitting the enemy as long as you can get to them. There isn't an RNG like you would see in, let's say, an XCOM style title. However, you also have the different weapons and you have the different magic systems that you can employ, as well as the different classes to always continue to keep you guessing and trying to figure out exactly what you're going to do. This one, very cool as a surprise. So anyway, that's it for me. I hope you guys like these reviews. If you do, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, give it a thumbs down. But we're not done yet. You're going to see a bunch of reviews. It is ridiculous for the next couple days. A review almost every day or every other day from me. Been playing games for the last 3 weeks. Check it out. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to check out the Patreon. It helps me give you guys reviews and previews and all kinds of videos that aren't filled with sponsored bullcrap. Peace out and enjoy the rest of your week.